Welcome back to the P.U.S.H podcast. I'm your host, Lost Judah, and today we're going to do a little reversal effect for you guys out there, right? I'm going to be interviewed on my own show right now, all right? We have P.U.S.H here to my left. She's going to be my lovely interviewer. Say what's up to the people, P.U.S.H.
It's a pleasure. How you guys doing out here?
All right. So, without further ado, we're just going to hop right into it.
If someone had one sentence, what would they need to know about the book in your story?
Resilience, passion, and consistency.
Does what?
That's my life.
Which leads me into the next question. Why did you write this book, and who is it really for?
I wrote this book to help people to understand who I am, one, and then also help motivate others, share my life lessons so that people that's coming up after me won't have to experience the things that I've experienced. They can actually use my experiences and level up from them.
And once we receive that, what are we responsible for? With the insight that
responsible for life choices. At the end of the day, if somebody gives you a blueprint that they've already laid out the foundation to trial, error, and wins and losses, then you can take those stories or take that experience, apply it to your life, and avoid certain hardships, and then also capitalize on certain wins based off those experiences that were shared with you.
I had a brief review of the book. Thank you for allowing me to do that. I would like to ask, what do you really mean when you say protection is love and legacy is responsibility? How does that apply to real life?
When I say that protection is love, I mean that love is more so an action versus somebody just expressing and telling you, hey, I love you. Like me expressing that to somebody, yeah, it can seem powerful in the moment, but when you get into real life and experiences and things like that, it can really be diminished and fade away when you're being faced with all these things and you have someone next to you telling you, hey, I love you, but yet they're not protecting you from what life is throwing your way. So then it starts to get you to think like, hey, is this love real? Because if you truly love someone, you don't want to see someone experiencing hardships and going through pain, especially when you could have been a part of the process of helping to avoid those things. So that's what I truly mean when I say protection is love. And it's leading with real action versus someone just verbally expressing that out of their mouth to you. Hey, I love you.
With consistency while life is lifing. Do I get that right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I like that.
Absolutely.
I'm pausing because it's very personal, right? Okay. And I can thank you throughout the interview for the reminders. But leading to the next one, what's one truth people avoid when it comes to protecting their families?
I would say one truth that people avoid when protecting their families is being real with themselves. Are you truly protecting your family, and what does that really look like? That's what I would say. Not having that true self-reflection based upon, am I saying that I'm a protector and I'm a provider, or am I really showing that with actions versus me voicing that understanding? And what that shows up and look like is, when your family is being faced with hardship and adversity, how are you navigating them through so that you minimize the hardships, the pains?
With the action behind it. The truth that I pick up on when you're delivering that is the fact that you're responsible. The responsibility and accountability is what we avoid the most.
Right.
Right.
And yeah, that definitely ties into, you know, having that self-reflection. Like, how are you truly showing up in your life so that you can show up better in the lives of others? Like, we can tell ourselves, or we can lie to ourselves all day of the week, but when actual things show up, how are we prepared, or how are we responding to them?
Mm-hmm.
And then how is that not only affecting our lives, but also affecting the lives of the ones who we bring into the world, you know, the second and third generations. So I think that people tend to lie to themselves and say, yeah, I love my family, and I'm protecting my family, and I'm choosing the right for my family. But when life hits, it actually shows up in the opposite. So then when that happens, how are we having those personal conversations, and how are we starting to show up then when we have the realization that, hey, I may not be protecting my family to the best of my abilities, and if I'm not, what are the necessary steps that I need to take to protect my family and truly show the ones that I love and care about that I truly love them, right?
Then why is this message so urgent now?
It's always been urgent. The only thing that's been holding the message back from being expressed is the lack of understanding. People aren't having these conversations at their dinner table. So how can you begin to protect when you are ignorant to the fact that there's something to protect?
A lot to protect.
Yeah, but why aren't people having these conversations? And the reason being is that they are unaware, truly. They're unaware of what protection looks like, what real love in action is you know, displayed or illustrated within their lives. They're not aware of that. Again, you got people talking about, hey, I love you, but they fail to have the action to show up behind it. So that's the disconnect there, and that's where, you know, my book coming out is going to help people to have those self-reflections, come to that realization that, hey, you know what, I may not be showing up to the best of my abilities with my family, with the people that I claim I love. How am I showing up in their lives? How am I preparing them moving forward for what's to come? Because hardship is definitely coming, pain is definitely coming. But if you're not protected, and you're not protecting those that you love and care about, do you truly love them?
Not at all. Not that, and not that you're even accountable for it if it was you to begin with.
Ignorant is bliss, but it's truly not blissful when you're faced with these things head on, and it's showing up where, you know, it's becoming overwhelming, and it's extremely painful, and there's trauma that's being built. And now it's like, shame on you for not knowing.
Yeah.
Shame on you for not figuring that out and being proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly. And responding versus reacting. Your book releases March 15th. What can the readers expect emotionally when they open it?
What the readers can truly expect when they read through my book is raw, authentic truth. Me expressing what actually happened in my life, what took place, how I navigated through it. You know, like I said, resilience, consistency, and just, you know, the trial, the error, the good, the bad, and then also the reflections after that. And what helped me to transform my mindset and how I'm showing up in my own life and those lives around me that, you know, I affect, which starts with my own kids first. And then, you know, the relationships and the networks that I've built, you know, throughout the years. Expressing and sharing, you know, these hardships and how to navigate through them. I feel like people will gain a lot from this book.
If it's art imitating life or life imitating art, which side are you leaning toward, and where's the balance between that?
I think it's a combination of both. Internal, reflecting on the outside, and then the outside is a direct reflection of what's inside of you, right? What are you applying and putting your time into? That's the art there.
You talk about growing up in survival mode. What did that actually look like and feel like for you day to day as we get into it?
Growing up in survival mode for me felt like I was alone. I wasn't protected, one, by my father, and then I didn't feel safe at home being around my mother either, and my stepfather. So protection is love is huge for me personally, because I felt isolated, exploited at times, and just, unaware, ignorant. So when I'm going through my life and I'm experiencing, I don't have anyone to go to dissect what's happening in my world. So I had to go inside myself a lot of times. And I think that's what really kind of built me being more like drawn towards spirituality, because I felt like nothing physical on this earth could save me or could help me through. So I had to go within myself, and then I had to connect to a source that was not known, not seen. But I had to believe in something, because if not, then this life would have drowned and consumed me, and I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you right now today.
And how did watching your father shape the definition of your own work ethic and responsibility?
Again, it goes back to my book, right? Me sharing my shortcomings, me sharing my hardships and frustrations of life, and reflecting and overcoming. I watched my father, make mistakes, do some great things also as well. I learned from the things that he didn't do so good, and I leaned in on the things that he did great, and I seen him get results from. That was real to me. So I applied, like I said, what a lot of people gonna get from my book is a lot of things that I didn't do the best of my abilities, but also the reflections and the lesson that came after that. And I think that's where the gold is. That's where the jewels are, right? Help people to bypass the things that they don't want to experience, right? And give them those reflections and those lessons so that they can build that wisdom and move forward and better their lives and better their situation. Kind of like me when I was young, watching my father growing up.
When you first realized that hard work doesn't equal protection, what resonated the most? What hit the hardest?
I mean, again, using my own personal life as an example. My dad, hard worker, I watched him get up 7 a.m. in the morning and work to 7, 8 o'clock at night daily. Break his back to make that bread, make that money, right? To be able to take care of his family. And at the end of it all, not truly have anything to show for it. But I knew I was there. I physically saw him put that work in. A lot of times working hard, where you got families and you got men who they have the right mindset and they have the right, the go-getter mentality. But the easiest way I can put it is just because you got motion and you got energy don't mean that you actually moving forward. You can be doing a lot of moving in place, and the intentions can be good. The intentions can be great. Like, I love my family. I want to provide for my family. I want to take care of my family. And in the moment, you may very well be doing that. But at the end of the day, if we're not truly protecting our families long term, even if we're out of the picture and we're not there, then what are we really doing? What are we really putting our time and energy into if we suffering later? I thought that the hard work and the hustle was to make sure that the later days were easier and better. But it turns out that the hard work and the long nights and the long days turns into more hardship and frustration later on. And I just don't understand that. Well, I didn't understand that at the time, but I understand that now. All motion ain't good motion.
You repeat that for me, please?
Yeah, all motion ain't good motion.
Exactly.
So the takeaway from that is to make sure that whatever we're doing now is setting ourselves up and setting our families up long term, not necessarily just taking care of us day to day or month to month or year to year. And that's what I really want people to pay attention to, because at the end of the day, it's not just about you getting through to the next day. It's about, it's about longevity.
Exactly.
That's what's most important, you know. Otherwise, you'll have children coming up after you who will have resentment and have anger and hostility. And I know that parents don't want that, right? You want your kids to look at you and be inspired by you and be motivated by you and feel that love, you know, just not from you saying it out your mouth, but through actions and how it's showing up in life. Like I said, what's inside comes out. But if we don't have the right foundation internally, then what's reflecting on the outside is not, it's going to be chaos.
It's showing up. Not through the child life lens, or should I reword that? Let's speak through the lens of your inner child. What was it, or what was that emotional weight you carried that people never saw?
Again, for me, it was, you know, as a kid looking for that knight in shining armor, and that person or that being, whatever, never showed up in my life physically. So I had to become that for myself, and then like I said, I had to that's a crazy question.
It's an honest question. And you deserve it.
I felt like I was experiencing life and I didn't have no one to redirect my experiences or save me from certain experiences that I had in my life. So I just had to build like that resilience up and that toughness within myself. And like I said, I had to go in, and there was a lot of times I had to shut my emotions off because, you know, it was no immediate answer for me. And if I didn't, you know, shut those emotions off, then it was gonna, you know, like make me go crazy in my head. And so instead of losing myself, I had to just like put on that coat of armor, in a sense, I would say, to get through to the next day. And that's what really showed. I mean, that's what really pushed the survival, right? I got to get through to my next day. I can't go crazy or crack up because of what's happening around me in my life that I have no control over. I'm a young kid, you know, and I'm trying to take in and internalize and understand what's happening. And then at the same time, you know, I want to live. I want to be here. Mm-hmm. So not allow it to beat me up. So, yeah.
It's spoken through a true chosen one. Early.
Yeah.
So what is something that you wish more families understood about generational cycles and what to do with them once they are acknowledged?
What I want families to understand is that the choices that you make now ultimately affects you and then affects those that you bring forth later on. And be mindful and be truly understanding of that, and make sure that you are setting up certain systems and things in your life that it's not going to only take care of you and your family now, but take care of you and your family long term, whether you're there or you're not.
Before we get into the survival thinking of the effect of how people handle money and planning today, can we touch back a little bit on how we handle the emotional burdens that hinder exactly that in that survival mode?
Taking in a lot of traumas puts certain mental blocks on you, and you're moving forward in life and you hitting these blocks and you're going through these different adversities in your life, and it's setting mental blocks. And then you continue on and it's set another mental block, and you continue on, and you're not working through these things. They eventually come back and show up in your life later. And then you're like, wow, I'm trying to push through or reach towards something, and these things are holding me back from the life that I feel like I truly deserve, or from the person that I truly want to be and show up in this life for myself and for others around me. And I think that by us going through and self-reflecting and working through those traumas, you know, we begin to release shackles off ourselves so that we can then show up better for ourselves first and then be able to show up better for others in our life. Does that kind of like answer your question? It
does. And then I'll lead into how did you apply that to how you better plan for today and how you handle your finances in regards to setting up those protections?
So for me, I just had to do a self-reflection and actually see, well, how am I showing up in my kid's life, right? And if I'm not showing up to the best of my ability, what are the necessary steps that I need to take? What systems do I need to put in place in order for me to show up and be someone that I can be proud of myself first, and then proud of what I'm actually setting up to make sure that I have a peace of mind knowing that whether I'm here or not, my kids are taken care of. The people around me that I love and care about, that I claim I love and care about, are taken care of. And I think that starting there will build a certain level of positiveness and confidence in anybody, and will help you move forward and show up better in your own personal life and also in the lives of others around you.
Absolutely. Let's talk about identity and dreams.
Right.
What others see for us while we're developing. Let's talk about the athlete era. You spoke about that on the book. Let's touch that.
The game taught me about that consistency wins. Being resilient, being tough, sticking to the plan, training, working out, you know, giving a certain level of trust to my coaches, you know, and that how they're advising me that it's going to pay off eventually, right? And that was a huge one for me, and I really want to hit on that. Being able to trust others and knowing that and understanding that they are here for your best interest. Because me growing up, I felt like I couldn't really trust anybody. People would show up in my life and they would say certain things and do something else. So I kind of like became numb to that. And then now I'm getting into sports and I got mentors and coaches around me, and I have to give them a certain level of trust in order for me to perform at my best and, you know, really excel at something that I really care about. So being able to be coachable. I don't know it all, so I have to rely on somebody who has a higher level of experience than me to let me know, hey, this is how you move in the game, and this is how you show up in the weight room, you know, so that you can get stronger, better, bigger, faster. And I think that a lot of people lack that. Not a lot of people, but some people lack that coachability aspect in their life. They feel like they may know it all, or they feel like I know what I'm doing, and they'll miss opportunities or they'll miss growing moments for themselves because maybe they're dealing with personal traumas and dysfunction within themselves. And it goes back into those mental blocks to where I had that. I experienced that, so I understand it and I know it. And sometimes it can be scary, but at the end of the day, being uncomfortable and in those moments, but still pushing through and giving certain levels of trust, you'll find out that you end up in a better position than you were before. Obviously still having, you know, understanding, or, you know, some people would say like the gift of discernment and knowing like, who am I taking this, you know, coaching from, and what are the true intentions behind it? Obviously, yeah. But still smashing through and getting to the other side, being coachable. So, yeah.
Discipline definitely matters, but it's not the only answer, right? So what happens when your identity is so tied to your performance and boom, you have a tower moment and life change directions? What do we do with that based on your experience?
I would say remain consistent above anything else. Hardship is going to happen. Things are not going to go your way. And it doesn't mean that you doing anything less or you not showing up to the best of your abilities. It just means that, you know, not right now.
It's devastating, though. You the star child, it's the dream error all on you. Talk me through that. What did losing, well, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but what did that life lesson teach you or remind you about true purpose?
To look at life more realistic. Life is going to life. And what I mean by that is that it's going to show up in ways that you didn't imagine for yourself. What do you do in those moments? Do you back down? Do you shell up? Or do you lean into life and you get out of it what you truly want? For me, it taught me basically that sometimes you may have a higher calling. And the idea of what your life needs to look like or be may not necessarily be what's best for you. And that's okay.
Being able to switch gears and apply that to your business mindset and your leadership abilities now, what was the top lesson you learned from sports?
Remain steadfast, be resilient, and if something is not working, you pivot and go a different direction.
And how did that decisions impact your identity now with the financial decisions and the protection plan and that you're better equipped with now?
I would say I had dreams and aspirations to play in the NBA, right? And that didn't take place for me. But what happened, I learned business. I learned how to get out here and market myself and build something from the ground up. And I had some hard moments at the same token, to where some hard lessons that I took, but it helped me to grow as a man. And now I'm able to sit down and have conversations with people and advise them correctly with, how to protect themselves and, where to put their money at, and this is what's going to happen if you do this and you do that, to where now I'm more so like an advisor, and I can tell people, the necessary steps to help better their lives and their situation. I felt like by me not going to the league, it made me be able to connect with people even more, because, you see those guys on TV and stuff and they superstars and, they live in that dream life. And sometimes us common folk, we can feel like we're smaller or we're further away from them, but we really aren't. Like we're living our NBA lives right here and now. So we need to be able to make the next move the best move, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
So I'm here like, I'm Phil Jackson in life, and I'm gonna tell you, hey, let's do this, or how you feeling out there on the court? Let's maybe switch it up and go this way and make this move. And it's based off of me already living the game.
Reliving the game.
Yeah.
Not repeating it. There's a difference. Elaborate on the strong emotional component that resonated when you became a father. What truly changed internally for you?
It's not me just looking out for best interest of myself. Now I have a son who I have to make sure that he's good. And I for sure don't want him to experience the things that I experienced growing up or feel isolated and alone. So I need to be a little bit better strategic with my choices that I'm making in my life to make sure that he's good, that we're good.
And that had to be emotional for you, because you talked about the guilt and the distance was the hardest part for you.
Right.
How can we talk through the shield that you provided for yours?
So it was rocky when I had my son, because earlier on, me and his mother was, not on the best of terms. So again, me doing that self-reflection and going back within myself, I had a talk with myself, and I was like, you know what? I'm not showing up the best that I know that I can or that I should for my child. And this went against my own personal pact that I made with myself. You know, I'm not going to allow my son to experience and go through the things that I went through, that I had to, again, dig deep and gut those things out in order for me to be able to show up, you know, to the best of my abilities in my own personal life. So I wanted him to definitely avoid those hardships and those traumas and those things that I experienced. So it was emotional for me because in the beginning, I felt like I wasn't doing the most that I could do to show up and be the best father I can be for him. Obviously, I had friends around me who was like, yeah, man, but you're doing the best that you can. You showing up, you in your son's life, you present. But I still felt that it just wasn't enough. So I had to kind of fight with that within myself. And again, life is not going to show up the way that you think it's going to show up. But at the end of the day, you stay steadfast, stay consistent, and educate yourself on how to be a better you.
When the question hits you, what would my children and how would my children be protected if something happened to me? Take me through that.
That's a serious question. And at the time, again, I was ignorant to it. I didn't know what that looked like. Only thing I knew was get up, work hard, grind hard, make money so that I can be able to spend that money on experiences that I have with my son and make sure that while I'm here, he's living good, he's having a good time, and he knows that he's loved. But I had to step back and really self-reflect and see what was happening around me when I injured myself. I ended up not being able to walk for like 6 months and then had to do rehab for another almost year. My money went down because I wasn't able to show up for work. So now it's like, well, how does that look like for my son? If I'm not able to be able to provide the way that I was providing for him then, because now I'm hurt. So I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Some things are not really in order like I thought they were.
What does being a real provider look like beyond money?
Being a leader. Being able to foresee or prepare for what's coming moving forward in your life and then also in the lives of those who are following behind you.
More vivid conversations, more real conversations with the children. What did that look like? Is what I'm asking. You're being a provider in so many other ways because the money's not it. We hurt. We can't perform. We got to lean into other things that, again, we're missing in our development, right? So beyond the money, what does it look like?
Again, just showing up and being that leader in your kid's life. That's it. Protecting them from hardships and frustrations and pains. That's what that looked like for me in my life. It wasn't necessarily having conversation. My son was maybe 6-7 years old. So for the most part, it was shielding him from, you know, the real things that was happening around him. He didn't know anything because I didn't allow him to understand and know anything except for my dad got me.
Pure, to the point.
That's it. What
is something that you feel fathers don't talk about or talk through or show enough?
I think that, and speaking because I am a father, that we don't show enough transparency on what we're dealing with, the pressures that we go through, and the hardships and the frustrations when life is not showing up the way that we envisioned it to be.
You talked about reshaping restructuring your plan, the game plan, coming through, watching your father put the hard work in, and that just was not enough. Give me a little bit on your view on how legacy planning comes into play with making a difference now with that experience.
Well, legacy planning definitely plays a major vital role in my life now because I understand what it means to protect my family. And not only that, I understand that I have to have a plan that works even if I'm not here. Before, I didn't have that, and I experienced that head on when I got injured myself, and I didn't have any protection to continue to take care of things in my life, until I got better. And so that was a major wow moment for me. And me, for anybody that's watching this, a takeaway that they can take from that is making sure that you protect yourself while you're here now, alive, and then also when you pass on.
Is it some additional tools that may be missed because of the overwhelming options when it comes to life insurance and legacy planning? Can you drill into some of the things that works to where we don't get too confused on what that really means? Life insurance and legacy planning, just them two right there.
Again, being able to discern between what's real and what's not, what's beneficial for your life and what's not beneficial for your life. That's what I would say. Getting away from people who don't know what they're talking about and being around more people who are actually expressing, what it is that you want for your own personal life. That's any advice that I would give to anybody.
Make sure the approach is catered to you and your lifestyle, not what others feel is for your lifestyle.
Absolutely.
It's a catered to you moment. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you face adversity, and we're all going to face adversity and we'll continue to face adversity until we up and leave this earth, you're going to be the one to have to deal with that, not you and your cousin or your friend over here or your auntie over there who has an opinion. They're going to go on and live their lives. You're going to be the one faced with whatever it is that you have to deal with and navigate through. So you want to make sure that you have a strategy, you have a plan that's going to see you through your dark moments in your life, because they're going to come.
You talk through the core battles, business pressures, emotional burnout, etc. What was the main things or the main focus that kept you grounded? Give me some examples.
Main things that kept me focused and kept me grounded were sticking to my plans. Again, staying consistent, sticking to my plan. No matter what type of noise was coming up around me, I made sure that if I set out to do something, I saw it through all the way to the end, whether it worked out or it didn't. Mm-hmm. And I still gained from those experiences.
What in that season stood out the most that prepared you to know the difference about, or that taught you the most about control versus preparation? Let's talk to that balance.
Say it for me one more time.
What in that season taught you the most about control versus preparation? The battles, the business pressure. I mean, you burnt.
Yeah, you can definitely get burnt out. What that taught me was, even though when you have a lot of pressure and you got a lot of trauma and pain that you're dealing with, you must remain consistent and continue to push through no matter what, and stick to your plan. A lot of times people, they receive that pressure and they kind of want to switch up. But at the end of the day, you have to know what is on the other side of you pushing through that adversity and sticking to your plan. Mm-hmm. That's going to help you to overcome basically anything. I've had situations where I built businesses and I wanted to give up and I wanted to go and do something else, but I stuck to it. And at the end of the day, I've gained more financially, mentally, mental toughness, and then internal belief within myself, knowing that when I created a plan and I stuck to it and I saw it through, that it gave me even more than what I even expected from it. And I'm a living proof example of that.
What did you learn about alignment when life felt like you spoke to falling apart? How did alignment play? What did you learn about that?
What I learned mainly is that you're not going to go as hard for anything that you're not truly passionate in. So I kind of avoided jobs and things that didn't serve me or made me jump inside internally, because I knew that I wouldn't go 100% for it. So a lot of the jobs and things that I did do, they were service first, like service driven jobs. Mm-hmm. Being a personal trainer, starting a pressure washing company and cleaning people's cars and things like that. Even the network marketing jobs that I did, it was always geared towards helping people to better their health with nutrition. And it was always service first driven jobs because I was passionate about serving people, loving on others. Something that I felt like I didn't get growing up as much. And so I felt like I could be the change. If I serve enough people, then, maybe they'll love me in return.
Creating the alignment in the chaos is what I get from that. Thank you for being as vulnerable as you are being through this interview. Talking about crisis, what you reveal in the book that leads into why protection is so important. Let's elaborate on that. What do you say crisis reveals about the need for protection?
Crisis exposes the weaknesses that you may have in your own personal plan or how you showing up in the lives of those that you claim that you love. So crisis is not something that's truly negative. It's actually a blessing because it's going to give you a lesson, and it's going hopefully something clicks in your mind and say, hey, you know what? I need to switch this up and do something different, or I need to add something to what I already got going on so that this doesn't happen again. And then I protect others that's coming up after me. Mm-hmm.
And that comes with invention and breakthrough. Let's talk about some of your monumental development milestones when it comes to that.
Okay.
You're I'm speaking forward, but we have patents behind us. Let's talk about it. And what inspired you to do that?
So I created a total home gym called the Easycline. I created it. I started to work on it in 2016, all the way up until 2018 when I had made my first prototype. Well, I had prototypes prior to, but it was like my first commercial grade prototype. And in the midst of that, I had, met some people who I was serving them, and then they ultimately ended up serving me in return by blessing me with the opportunity to pay financially to get my product patented. It was rejected in 2018 the first time, and then my patent attorney resubmitted it and showed why it was unique and different from anything else that was created. And then it was accepted in 2019, and that's when I received my full utility patent by the United States government. And that was an amazing experience for me. That helped me to understand, one, that I had something unique within myself that I created and I brought out into a physical form. And then receiving that patent helped me to understand that I can truly, it elevated my belief in myself that I can do anything at this point. To take something from an idea that's not in existence, to go through the process of building and molding and shaping, to then showing it to the public or the people in my network, and for them to believe in it and to fully embrace it, to even, pay money to help get it patented was huge.
Mm-hmm. We stepped in front of the risk. And with that being said, what does your patent represent beyond the business success component? You balance belief and risk pretty well there.
It represents proper execution. And what I mean by that is planning, staying consistent, and seeing it through to the end. You'll always come out on top.
And as we embrace risk versus fearing it or running away from it or letting that control the situation, what does the struggle for you point to when it comes to creativity? How did the struggle lead you into that creative stance?
For me, everything stems from pain and hardship. I don't think that I would be as creative as I am or would have been able to create something of that magnitude without the experiences that I experienced as a child coming up into a young adult. It's a saying that I go by, and it's true to me, and it says, pain creates change. It may be positive, it may be negative, but at the end of the day, there's a change happening. There's a reaction happening there. I chose to internalize all of the hardships and the pains and the frustrations and things that I went through in my life and transmute it into a positive light by creating a total home gym that can be resourceful and help someone to get in shape, or help someone rehab themselves, or help someone build their confidence. Again, it goes right back to, what am I passionate about? And what I'm truly passionate about is serving others, helping others to better their own lives. And everything that I've put myself in or had myself a part of has always moved towards that thing. Mm-hmm. Service to others, to help others live a better, more prosperous life.
Crisis to protection. Again, the balance between that led you into another endeavor that you're embarking upon. Let's talk about what it is, how it works. Why do so many families avoid talking about protection?
Well, it's a scary topic. Some people don't know how to protect their families. Some people don't know what that looks like. And so it's avoided. At the end of the day, like I said earlier, people are destroyed for lack of knowledge and understanding.
Fear?
Absolutely. Fear of the unknown. Fearful that you're not prepared for if something does happen. You kind of tend to just want to put it on the side or leave it out your mind, or believe that, no, that could never happen to me. But again, when life shows up, is that true love? Mm. If you're not protected, then we can't say that that's real love, because at the end of the day, those around you are suffering. You're suffering. So is it safe to say that, one, you don't really care that much about yourself, and then two, you really don't care that much about those around you? Because if you did, you would lead them through that hardship, through that pain, and, into a positive light.
With those lifestyle challenges prompting action, just for say we ready now, what are the biggest myths regarding life insurance and what people believe about it that you feel is the biggest hindrance? And just shed a little light on the knowledge that you've gained now and just to walk them through the beginning stages of it. And I say beginning because it's, like we said, fear and the inevitable, and, being faced with all the challenges that we have. Eventually, we're going to leave this planet, this physical. Let's talk about the myths about the life insurance to why people don't have that prompt for action as they should. The myths.
I mean, one that I would say is that it's no point or no use for it. Or it's an unnecessary bill.
But we pay our car insurance. We got our house insurance, rental insurance. You gotta have rental insurance just to get an apartment or do anything these days.
Yeah, but the funny thing about that is that those types of insurances are forced upon us, right? If you don't have car insurance, you get penalized for it. If you don't have home renter's insurance, 9 times out of 10, you can't even move into the place that you move into until you show proof that you have that. Why isn't there anything in place as far as protection on your life? And that's pretty strange, right?
Yeah, you don't have life insurance. Your children pay for it. Your family pays for it.
Right.
That's grander than any material possession.
So you'll have insurance on your car, you'll have insurance on your apartment, but none of those things are nearly as important as your own personal life and your own existence. And then also those around you who are relying on you to take care of them. And the myth is that, it's really not needed. Like, it's just an added bill. And that's just so far from the truth. I would have insurance on me versus car insurance or apartment insurance first. But then it just goes back to the mindset and the true understanding of what's important to you. A lot of people tend to put materialistic things above what truly matters.
Life?
Absolutely.
That's a wake-up call itself. That's a call of action right now that we can honestly sit here and say that even exists. What happens when families rely on just hustle and hope? Let's talk through some of those experiences. Because we know firsthand, right?
They get left exposed, and more trauma, more pain, and more headaches, I would call it. That's what happens. That's the aftermath of not being protected, of not truly loving through the pain.
What conversations would you recommend people have tonight after watching this interview?
I would recommend people to have the conversation surrounding around, okay, what type of plan do I have? What type of strategy I'm currently running? And if I don't have a plan or a strategy to make sure things is in place, how can I get connected so that I can implement that into my life? And that's pretty much what I would tell anybody. What's your plan? And if you don't have a plan, we need to get you one.
How can we get in contact with you specifically to start that protection strategy and critical thinking that it takes to begin that?
It's as easy as sending me a DM and saying, hey, Dwayne, let's schedule a meeting. Let's sit down and talk about my situation and see if it's best for me, and if not, how we can tighten it up and make it better.
Based on what you've learned thus far, who needs to read this book the most?
I would say anybody who doesn't have a protection plan or strategy in place financially, someone who doesn't know anything about what we're talking about or what I've expressed on this show tonight. We need to sit down and have those conversations ASAP, because the best protection is being proactive instead of reactive.
What do you hope readers do differently after finishing the book?
I want those who read my book to leave it feeling inspired, motivated, and ready and willing to take the necessary action to protect themselves and their families and those that they love and care about.
We talked about that emotional component, the crisis, the things that call for action. What chapter will hit people emotionally hardest for them to act? Highlight that chapter for me.
I think it would be for me, it would be when I expressed and talked about getting injured. Everything went to a halt, to a stop at that point, and I really started to feel it financially. You can be in a great position and be making money and doing things and feeling like your life is going great, right? And then that rug can be snatched from right up under you. Then what? And if you don't have certain plans and protections and certain financial strategies in place, you know, you're about to experience a major I'll just put it like this is going to be a bad situation for you.
And then if you die, it's a bad situation for everybody involved. Why is March 15th more than just a release date for you?
Well, for one, March 15th is my birthday.
Whoa.
And then also I'm releasing my book on March 15th as well. So it's kind of like a double hit. Boom, boom.
I say it's a big deal. Finish the sentence. No family left behind means. No family left behind means.
No family left behind means sharing knowledge and understanding to help others live the rest of their life the best of their life. And it ties all the way back into my traumas growing up as a kid, going into a young man, experiencing life at the level that I've experienced it, going through the ups and the downs and still pushing through, and having a plan, a strategy in place financially to make sure that everything is good, no matter if I'm here or I'm not.
At the beginning of the interview, we talked about art imitating life and life imitating art. I think you clarified that it's both ways for you, right? If something happened to you tomorrow, what would you want your family to say about how you prepared them?
Well, if something happened to me today or tomorrow, I know that my children would be inspired, motivated, and they would feel loved. Because I took the necessary steps to make sure that they was protected while I'm here and even after I'm gone.
What would you want your family outside of your children to say about how you prepared for them?
I mean, the only thing that they could say was that Dwayne was smart and he was a true leader, because what he left behind is truly admirable.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming on and interviewing me.
My pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the P.U.S.H podcast. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights to help you on your journey. If you enjoyed the conversation, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media for more updates. Remember, every step forward counts, so keep pushing forward. See you next time.